Hello, everybody, and welcome back. If you're new here, hi, my name is Severin, and this is Start From Seed. Today, I'm filming in my poorly lit basement so I can show you how I grow tomato plants, and I grow them from seeds in my basement with just a few things. There's a lot of ways that you can grow plants from seed. This is the way I know how to do it. This is what I have success with, and so this is what I'm going to show you. So you are going to need a few things. Number one, you need dirt. You need some sort of seed starting dirt. Now, you can buy something like this. This is Jiffy. I bought this through Ferry Morris, and I'm going to leave the link below for Ferry Morris because I get a lot of stuff online, and I can also find them in stores. So you want to use a good seed starting mix. If you try to take dirt from your garden, you risk introducing bacteria to those little seedlings, and it could cause them not to germinate at all. Sometimes too, there's harsh chemicals or fertilizers in there that are just too much for your little seed sprouts. My favorite way is to buy these little pods. Now, what you do is you put these in dirt or in water, and then they'll absorb the water and kind of pop up to that. What I love about them is that they have this netting around here, so it kind of acts as a pot for it. And you just put your seed in there, water it in, and there you have it, a nice little pot. Now, when I go to transplant these, put them maybe in another container or stick them down in the garden, I do take the netting off. Now, these two I get from Ferry Morris. You don't necessarily have to have this fancy stuff, and you don't need fancy pots. You can use anything for a container. For instance, these are cat food containers. Just make sure you poke holes in anything that you decide to use. That way it'll drain. You can use cat food containers. I think this had one of them crack an egg in it breakfast. And this had icing in it. Something else I like to use are the plastic containers you get from the grocery store that have produce in them. These are perfect little mini greenhouses. In my area, in my county, these can't even be accepted in the recycling bin. So it's a great thing to reduce and reuse these sorts of things. Some other things you're going to have to get is I like to buy these little kits here. Let's see if I can get this in there. These are my little seed pods. Or my little dirt pods. They're all blown up and ready to go. And I also like to get and use a heating mat. And you're going to need a light. Now, I don't know a lot about lights. There's some fancy stuff out there on the market. There's some very expensive lights. I just buy these cute little doodads from Ferry Morris. It comes with a bulb already, and it fits over perfectly a Ferry Morris or a Jiffy. I'm so sorry. This came from Jiffy. This is Ferry Morris. These are Jiffy. Huh. I'm rambling. It's what I do. Okay, so I hope this is in the shot there. So these lights fit perfectly over one of these little Ferry Morris kits. Keep in mind though, if you fill all of this with seeds and you get all these beautiful sprouts, as they grow, they're not all going to fit under here. So keep that in mind. A lot of people will buy a bunch of this stuff up and fill it with seeds and then have these gigantic plants, and light can only handle so much. So keep that in mind before you get excited. Let me get this out of the way because it's probably blocking our shot. I need one of them fancy monitors so I know what I'm doing here. So the other thing you're going to need are seeds. So this is what I'm planting up this year. 3, 4. I only have 5 different varieties that I'm going to plant this year. And I'm not going to plant as much as I normally do. We are expecting a very warm, wet summer. And that brings a lot of disease and a lot of issues to tomato plants. At least in my area, I'm in Ohio Valley, and it is zone 6B. So rather than plant a bunch of tomatoes and risk them getting disease and ruining everything, I am rolling the dice, and I am not going to plant as many, just so I can keep that constant airflow and hopefully have success. Now, all of these tomato plants, most of your tomato plants, you're supposed to start them indoors 6 to 8 weeks before your last frost date. And how you find that last frost date is you go into your favorite search engine, type in last frost date and your zip code. And that's going to tell you about when your last frost date is. Mine is the first week of May. Does that mean we will no longer get frost in May? No, that is not what that means. That is just some rough estimate about when it should be okay to start putting things in the ground. Frost can still happen. So you're going to have to keep an eye on the weather. Now, once you get that frost date, you count backwards. Grab yourself a calendar and count backwards. These on the back of the seed packets say to start them indoors 6 to 8 weeks before your last frost. And for me, that was about 5 days ago. I'm really excited about this grow season, but at the same time, it's just getting over the winter and trying to get motivated to get these going. And if I don't do it now, I'm going to regret it. And I know I'm already going to regret being so far behind on getting these going. Okay, gardeners, this, I forgot to show you this. I mentioned it, but I forgot to show you. This is the heat mat. I like to use these when I start my seeds because they need the warm temperatures to get sprouting. Once they sprout, I'll unplug this mat, move it out of the way because we don't need it after that. So here are my pods, and I've already written down exactly how many of these seeds I want to use. Now, some of these seeds I'm planting for myself, some of them are for friends, and some of them are to donate to different organizations or people that might need them. So all you have to do, let's see here, we're going to start with the San Marzanos. I grew these last year. Let's see if we can get that in there, for the first time ever. And I had no idea what they were going to do, what they were going to be like. And boy, did they grow. I had a lot of them. So I want to plant more this year and maybe make them my primary tomato seeds for sauce. Now I'm going to open up all these little nets here. And get that going. Maybe we'll speed this up. I noticed the tops of these are a little bit dry, so I went out and I got my little indoor watering can. And sorry about the noise. You're probably hearing the heater kicking on there. It's still a little chilly outside. So I just want to water the tops of these just a little bit there. Okay. Now I have written down that I want to start 6 of these San Marzanos. So, and as I said, almost everything you need to know about growing the plant is on the back of the seed packet. From how deep to plant it, how far to space them, how long it takes them to germinate. These take 14 to 18 days to germinate. That's a long time. So patience, you need patience. Look at my nails, they're so filthy. Okay. And how long it takes them to mature. So these are 95 to 120 days to maturity. So I'm going to come around here so I can not have my arms in the shot. Let's see. Okay. So I'm going to dump these out. And as you can see, they're quite tiny. Very tiny. Okay. So I'm just going to rough up this soil a little bit using a pencil. And it says to plant these a 1/2 inch deep. If you plant these too far down, then the sprouts are not going to be able to make it up to the surface. You plant them too close to the surface, they're not going to get the soil that they need or the water that they need. They'll probably dry out too soon. So depth is important. Now I like to put anywhere from 2 to 3 seeds inside each one here, and that's going to increase my chances for germination. If I just put 1 seed in, then it might not sprout, and then I've wasted all this time. Now, since these take, what did it say, 14 to 18 days to germinate, I don't want to have to wait another 2 weeks to get my tomatoes going. So they're so little, I just take the back of that pencil and touch them to the seed, and they'll pop. They'll stick to the pencil and just pop right in. I don't see. Drop a bunch more across the middle. Oops, I did too many. Uh-oh. Okay. I just realized I did too many seeds there. But that's okay. That is okay. I'll move this one out of the way. And then we just cover them up. Okay, it is time to water these in. One of the things that I like to use, let me see, is, can we get that in the shot there? Is a spray bottle. I just picked this up at the store. This is delicate enough to water in your seeds without disturbing the soil too much. If you just pour like water on them from a hose or from a glass or from your watering can, it's powerful enough to disturb that soil, loosen up your seeds, and then not, they won't germinate. So gently give them a spray. And these are adjustable, and you can see the cat has chewed on mine. And make sure you mark it, water, you know. Nothing fancy in here, no special chemicals, no fertilizers, just water from the tap. Now, I know people will say, oh, if you have hard water, it'll ruin your plants. I just water from my tap. That's what I use. And something that I forgot to mention is after, one of the other things that you need are plant markers. I got these on Amazon, super cheap, really important, along with a nursery marker. I suggest using a nursery marker because they are made to resist the weather, like rain and the sunshine. Those designer markers, the designer brand markers, cannot handle being rained on and the sun on them. They will bleach. Now, as soon as you plant your seeds up, mark them. I know that sounds silly. I know you're like, whoa, I just planted them. I know what I planted. You won't. You'll forget. Your brain is not going to remember which tomato plants are which. And then as these grow and sprout, you'll move them around and you'll have issues. I've mentioned before that I got my pepper plants, my bell pepper plants, mixed up with some jalapenos. And I struggled all summer long with those, and was afraid to give any away to people because I was like, it should be a bell pepper, but it might be a jalapeno. So mark your plants, mark them, use a marker. So now that you have all your little seedlings and all their little happy little dirt homes and you've marked them, make sure you water them in really well. And then you're going to place the dome on top. This came with the little Jiffy greenhouse kit here. And that greenhouse kit does come with tags. It came with all the pods. It also comes with tags. And I noticed this year. It's a little chart so you can write down all your plants. So I'm probably not going to use that. So we want to put the dome on. And that's going to act like a little greenhouse. You're going to then plug in your heat mat, which is underneath here. You're going to want a timer because you are going to want this heat mat on all the time, but you're also with the lighting, you don't want it on all day. Do not keep your light on all day. You're going to want it 18 hours on, or hold on, 16 hours on, 8 hours off. You have to have your lights turn off over your plants because that is when your plants will rest. Everything that grows has to rest. So make sure you let your plants take a little nap. Now, I think, what would you call this, an analog timer? I don't even know. There's digital timers out there. There's also timers on these surge protector timers. This is what I use. I've bought some digital timers in the past, and I don't know if it's my age or the directions or me, but I have a really hard time setting those up and keeping them going properly. I've had them short out on me. The one nice thing about them is if you lose electricity, the timer will keep going. If this loses electricity, it's going to not restart itself, but the time is going to be off. So you want to check on it. This one here is a dual timer. And I've seen these in the lighting departments of hardware stores, the box stores, my local hardware stores. I've even seen them in the grocery store in that little gadget aisle. So make sure you have a timer. Unless you want to wake up and set an alarm on your phone to wake up and to turn on your lights and then to turn them back off every day. I don't have that kind of time. You don't really need the light initially until the little sprouts come out. So I like to put it on there anyway and just have it ready to go, or I'll forget about it. You do want to check on these daily. Even though you got the little lid on here, they can dry out. So make sure that you're coming in here, you're checking your plants, you're giving them a little drink. You can also move them around. That's why we tag them, right? Make sure those are all down in there. Once these sprout, we're going to unplug the heat mat and we're going to keep the light on them. I didn't get into the varieties of the tomatoes that I'm planting. Maybe I'll do that, or sprouting. Maybe I'll do that when it's time to plant them. Though I did want to talk about the Super Sauce Hybrid. I do want to talk about that I got from Burpee. I don't know if you can see that in there. I'm going to leave a link below so you can order these from Burpee. This is a first year for me. This is supposed to be a 2-pound fruit bearing plant. And it says here that one tomato will fill an entire sauce jar and that these are indeterminate. And it says that they will grow 5.5 tall to 5 wide. Fills an entire sauce jar. And it takes about 70 days until harvest. I'm really looking forward to some 2-pound sauce tomatoes. I'm excited for that. So if you have any questions or any comments for me, leave them down below. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Make sure you check out the links and follow me on social media. I'll leave that down below as well. Thanks for hanging out with me today in my basement, and I will keep you updated on our tomato progress. Happy gardening, everybody.